to another episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. I'm Julie Podewitz, CEO and founder. This episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast is sponsored by Model 55. Model 55 provides turnkey model apartment and design solutions for senior living communities, combining quick nationwide service with deep expertise in creating model apartments. Model 55's designs are more than just aesthetically pleasing. They are strategically designed to drive occupancy and sales. From custom designs to ready-to-ship kits, Model 55 has solutions for any budget. For more information, www.model55.com. That's model55.com. Today, I welcome Staci Lynn to the show. Staci, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Staci is the Chief Operating Officer for Wickshire Senior Living. And Wickshire, you are based kind of where I am, right? In Brentwood, Tennessee.
We are based in Brentwood, although we don't have any communities in the Tennessee market, but we have set up shop in Tennessee.
Was there a particular reason you all started here?
Yeah, so I lived in Nashville, so that was a helpful spot. When my business partner reached out to start the company, a couple of our other leadership team members also lived in this area. So we decided, and it's such a healthcare hub in Nashville. So if we were thinking about talent as we grew, a really great talent pool in the Nashville market. So
yeah,
we've been here for 5 years.
5 years. So Wickshire was established 5 years ago.
Yeah, we started the organization in September of 2019. So we are just at our 5-year mark, and we launched the company from scratch. So we did not have any communities. We acquired our first 6 communities in January of 2020, had a blissful 6 weeks, and then COVID hit, and we had to restart our integration plans as we thought about growing the organization. And over the course of 2020, we added on an additional 16 communities, and at our highest, we had 20 communities in our organization.
And where are you now, the portfolio?
We have 8. So we have we're focused in our Midwest, or I'm sorry, in the Southeast. We had some communities in the Midwest, and ended up just transitioning those to a different operator, and now we're based solely in the Southeast.
Got it. Yeah, I got here through work channels too, not originally from Franklin or Brentwood or Nashville. Great place to live though. And there's a great senior living hub. Brookdale's here in Brentwood, Vitality Living here in Brentwood, my former hometown there, Vitality. So it's great to finally meet you. And you can live down the street from somebody and not see them, right? Let alone the same town.
Absolutely, especially as much as Nashville's grown over the last.
Oh my gosh! And how long have you been here? Your whole life?
12 years. So I actually made my way to Nashville by way of an acquisition through Brookdale. I worked for a company called Horizon Bay, and we were based in Tampa, Florida, and Brookdale acquired in 2011, and I moved up to Nashville in 2012.
Got it. Oh, I remember Horizon Bay. I lived in Venice for many, many years. Okay. Venice, Florida. Yeah, we had Horizon Bay there. Absolutely. Stay in the business long enough, and you meet people along the way, and from acquisitions and dispositions, and that's what I would love to talk a little bit about today. And you mentioned acquiring buildings and then dispositioning, so acquisitions and dispositions. So, a couple things really from your position there as Chief Operating Officer, Staci. First of all, how do you lead the sales, right? The sales and the revenue focus, and then specifically acquisitions, acquiring buildings, right?
That's a great question. And I think one of the things that makes just any operations partner successful is having to be sales focused, right? That's how ultimately we're able to pay our associates by residents who are moving into our communities. And so at Wickshire, we take really a collaborative approach. So I'm sure, like many folks listening, you guys are having three-legged stool calls or calls on Mondays or calls on Wednesdays or whatever day of the week, where we really focus with operations, sales, and clinical. And what are we doing to grow occupancy and advance occupancy? And really that drives everything else that we do within the organization. A colleague I used to work with used to always say, you can't have mission without margin. And that is very true. And so we really take a focus, and it's not just leads coming in, right? I think as an industry at the moment, I think we're maybe waiting for leads to come to us, as opposed to really going out and seeking out the business development, the solid business development. So one of the things that we do as we think about acquisitions is we really try to make a strong impression in the market, the local market, about who we are, what are we doing. During COVID, we started what we call Wickshire Wednesdays. And with those, we would have first responders or different healthcare workers drive through and pick up breakfast or pick up donuts or pick up something. And we really wanted to be for the community. Our mission is making life better by connecting people with purpose and community. And that's so true. As somebody, we were a new organization. We didn't have any brand recognition. We were new to markets. And, we thought about how do we really position ourselves, and how do we really help with the sales focus? And it is that brand recognition, business development, but being a true partner to the community. And we look at a partnership in everything that we do, because our EDs are our sales leaders in the organization. And so while it's the operations framework, our executive directors are responsible for ensuring that their sales team members are doing what they're supposed to be doing to achieve occupancy growth and revenue growth. And are we assessing people appropriately and timely? And are we capturing that revenue? And are we looking at, street rates and market rates and making adjustments, based on what's happening in the market? And what are we looking at from an incentive perspective? And our EDs really should be leading that charge in conversations with the sales managers, plus our home office, sales support team as well.
You mentioned business development and Wickshire Wednesdays. I love that. Is that something that you heavily focus on an ongoing basis from a sales leadership perspective?
Business development specifically, yes, is something that we really focus on. And again, you've got everything with lead generation, our third-party lead aggregators and paid referral sources. And we're really looking to try to find those organic leads, whether it's word of mouth, whether it is, going to the discharge planners, the religious institutions. How do we show the market that we are best in class as far as, if it's a discharge or if it's a new resident making a move? But business development, we're really focusing on, and that I think is something that continues to ever evolve, right? As our accessibility, during the COVID window into certain, healthcare or situations or scenarios, like we were pushed out, right? You couldn't just come in off the street. And so having those existing relationships was really important for us to leverage, and then getting creative on how do you recreate relationships if you don't have them, right? And again, during COVID, that's what we thought about Wickshire Wednesday. I can take zero credit for that. It was my sales partner who she had that idea. But that was really how we looked to drive. And to this day, business development is one of the key key sales focuses that we look at.
So do you, Staci, at the community level, do your sales leaders there, are they required then to do business development as part of their job?
Yes, they are. And typically we like to see them out at least 2 days a week doing quality business development. So that's not the cookie drop off, the muffin drop off. While that is important, that doesn't really move the needle. So we do ask that these, we have what's called the target 10, and those are our top 10 kind of referral partners. And we want to make sure that we're having meaningful interactions with those team members. And so we want it to be scheduled. We want it to be planned. We don't want it to just be a drive-by drop off. Again, sometimes that is important and that is necessary, but that's, for us, we really, really want to look at developing those relationships.
Some people think that because with the digital world that we all live in, and the primary source of leads now, of course, is from a digital, all different buckets within that digital world, that outreach is dead. or that, well, business development, I go out and quote unquote, everybody is referring to the local referral agency, because that business, of course, has grown tremendously in a handful of years, and certainly the last decade. Couple things. So what are your teams doing that are, you mentioned the target 10 scheduled and planned. What are they doing that they're that's successful, meaning that they're okay, this is really working for us?
Sure. And I think some of it, right, is going back to basics, not overcomplicating the process, and being comfortable asking for the business. I think we have a community in North Carolina that does a incredible job at asking for the business and has very high organic referral, non-paid referrals that come from either the hospital or a couple of local doctor's offices. And that particular team member, she will go in and she will ask for the business, and she will I think the other thing, right, is letting the referral partners know what do we have available. I think making sure that they're aware of what's available. If we have any incentives, certainly sharing that information, or if some of our communities do accept Medicaid. So again, if we have a scenario where there is a Medicaid pay source, offering that information up. But I think it's going back to the basics. I don't think that you need to be incredibly flashy. It's coming in, and also being concise, right? Spending 10 or 15 minutes. I mean, the discharge planners, the doctor's offices, they're very busy. They don't want to sit around and listen to an entire spiel, but these are the couple things that are important. This is what we have available. This is the timeline if you need to move in this. And I think also too, introducing our health and wellness director into the conversations are very important. So again, using discharge planner, they understand from a clinical perspective who is responsible for providing care to the resident who they are discharging to us.
So you say healthcare director, is that what you call them?
We call them health and wellness directors.
Health and wellness directors. Do they go out too?
They will. So, and we have some really strong sales focused health and wellness directors who will also pop in when somebody's coming in for a visit, because I think, again, it goes back to your sales manager is building the relationship with the prospect, but really at the end of the day, it's your executive director and your health and wellness director that are ultimately responsible for providing the care, and we're going to share with families what our promise is to them, and these two people are going to be the ones that are responsible for delivering the promise. So our health and wellness directors will pop in, introduce themselves, answer any questions related to the care components. And we found that to be incredibly helpful because, again, your salesperson is great and they are really good at building the relationship, but then you do the transition and handoff to operations and clinical, and being able to have families comfortable with our health and wellness director and on the front end, knowing this is the person who is going to care for mom or dad is we found that to be very helpful. And that's, again, you think about the three legs of the stool. We can't do it without one. It's always important to have sales, ops, and clinical aligned together. And I know is that always happen? Does it happen perfectly? No, but that is our goal, is to make sure that, all three parties are involved in that resident experience when they visit our community for the first time.
Right. And if you're modeling that from your perspective, from your level, so to speak, the chief operating officer, right? You're very sales focused and you're working collaboratively with your partners, in there at the support center level, then that would be the model, right? You're modeling. And no matter what your position is, we say sales focus, customer focus, would you scare people or people, oh, I'm a wellness director, or I don't have time to go out, or operations, let's give it to sales. We're still not where we need to be with owning your business. As chief operating officer, if you don't have revenue coming in, your business isn't successful, right?
That's correct.
Right. You need to be sales focused. So kudos, number one, for your health and wellness directors to get out, and what impact, the impact that makes. And in this, busy, crazy, sometimes workaday world, right? You think, oh, I don't have time, but the impact there can be huge.
Exactly. Well, and we had, so one of our executive directors, she happened to be visiting her own mother who was in the hospital for, a minor surgery. And not that she was using this visit to be opportunistic, but she happened to run into somebody that she knew at the hospital who got to witness our executive director in that caregiver role, as
Yeah.
opposed to, and we actually ended up getting a couple of referrals as a result of that interaction, again because they just witnessed how she cared for her mother. And therefore I think there was a thought that that would translate certainly to resident care, which is absolutely, just a warm, caring individual. But being able to kind of, and so looking for those different opportunities while, while we're all living life, right? We live in these markets. You might see somebody at the nail salon, you might see somebody at the grocery store, and you don't want to overstep. But I think it is important to this is who's caring for the resident that you're referring, and we're all human, and we want to do the right thing for our residents.
Well, that ties back into your mission, right? That you earlier, I didn't write it all down, but about connecting,
Yes.
right? And say your mission again. I liked it.
Sure. It's making life better by connecting people with purpose and community.
Yeah, by people, purpose, community, right? So if you're out, and that to me was a great example of just living your life, living
Yeah.
the mission, living, demonstrating, right? It doesn't have to be like you said, it's not complicated.
Right. It's like,
Keeping it
just, I
simple.
think we overcomplicate it. This is
Yeah,
humans caring for humans at the end of the day.
right, right.
That is the greatest responsibility we have. And there's all these really awesome, trendy things. But at the end of the day, we're humans
Mhm.
caring for humans.
I mentioned this before in another podcast. My dad died last year after a 13-day stay at the hospital. He was not ill. He was ill for a very short time, and did very, very well until very late in life. And he lived in assisted living here for
Mhm.
6.5 years, very happily. I mean, content, real content. And not once in those 13 days, not once did anyone from his assisted living call, check in,
Mhm.
nothing. And not with anyone. So the hospital asked me several times, where does he live? Where does he, where's he going back? And I thought, what a missed opportunity. First of all, as a daughter,
Yeah.
it
Mhm.
broke my heart. No one's calling my dad. And he lived there 6.5 years. And I don't care if it was 6.5 days, but 6.5 years, right? But from a business person, I'm thinking, what an opportunity to bridge that, kind of to bridge or climb that wall of all they needed to do was call, show up,
Right.
visit a couple of times. And I just can't help but think what message, right, that would send to
Sure. But
everyone, working in the, every time you go in, it's almost somebody new,
Mhm.
right? So all those people that you're influencing, and that's just by living out and doing what we should be doing, right?
Exactly. It is.
Yeah.
That's what we always we preach. And are we perfect? I'm sure we're not perfect, but we have our teams. If you have somebody who is in rehab or who has gone to a hospital stay, like, we need to stay in touch. To your point, I mean, these families, it's an extension of our family. Residents are an extension of our family, and making sure that we're reaching out and checking in on them, or our sales team members going to visit, to stay top of mind. Because the other thing that you don't want, and it happens, is when it's time to discharge, they discharge your loved one to another place, and it's like, no,
Oh,
you
they
live. Yeah.
I wasn't there every day
Yeah.
reminding, and it's not, you tell them once, someone writes it down and it's done, just like
Correct.
all of us. Well, someone
Mhm.
didn't write it down or didn't remember, or it's a new person, someone
Yeah.
new nurse. Yeah, it sounds like I mean, I'm a big
Mhm.
outreach, business development person, still waving the flag, and how important it is on so many levels, but from an acquisition, right? Getting out there, being new, being a new company. I don't know how long you can say you're new, but 2020, January 2020, maybe not so new anymore, but
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Now we're established, but
yeah,
yeah,
no,
a
right,
couple of
right. It's like,
years.
yeah, when is it? We're coming up on our third year. I still say, so we're new too, but it's something that's continuously needed, right? Because we're such a hyper local business, and that So is it fair to say then, Staci, that business development really has been a backbone of your sales success?
Yes, yeah, we really rely on that, and then also too, we have a pay it forward program, which is our internal referral program where residents refer their friends or neighbors, or associates refer their friends or neighbors, and that has also been very successful for us. Again, we kind of have peaks and valleys on the success depending on how well we're focusing on it. But we found that to be a really good, solid referral source for us. I mean, of course, we all rely on the third party lead aggregators, but if we can control the business development, and if we can have our residents say, hey, come be my neighbor, and their friends and loved ones move in, I mean, that's where we see the most success.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
That is huge, right? And it will never get old.
Never.
The power of that, the referral, the power of local evangelists.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was speaking with a colleague last week who teaches Bible study,
Hmm.
and he said that he's been doing this 12 years, and he's a VP of sales and marketing, doing the Bible study for 12 years. And he still learns so much about the people he serves. There's quite a few, older adults, and it's really made up of older adults, seniors, if you will. And a gentleman came in talking about a tree that had fallen over in his yard from a storm. And and the service that he got from Joe's Tree Service,
Hmm.
they got their pens out, their paper. Wait, what's the phone number? And because he was just going on and on about the service from
Hmm.
this tree removal. And you better believe that one of those people, I'm sure, is going to, and he said, wow, you just never know what evangelists are out there, right? From
Absolutely.
a positive
Hmm.
standpoint, and not, it could be the opposite too.
That's
So
mhm.
yeah, I would say that's, and then certainly when friends refer friends, higher conversion rate. It's got to be yeah. And then from an ops side, you're not paying the move-in fees.
And that's always huge, right? That certainly, because I mean that adds up very quickly, with
Oh,
all of these fees. I mean, it really adds up, and that can be the difference in your marker for NOI growth
oh,
specifically. If you've got four or five move-ins that are a paid referral source, I mean, you're
oh,
looking at
it's killing the bottom line.
yes, hmm,
Grow your occupancy. That's great, but grow your occupancy and grow your rate. Grow your market rate
yeah,
and push market rate so that you do have NOI, you do have
hmm,
margin. And
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. Because
positive
there's no
margin.
mission without margin.
That's the truth. That's the truth. There's no mission without margin. Well, Staci, thank you again so much for joining the Grow Your Occupancy
Yeah.
podcast.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for the invite. I enjoyed it.
Oh my goodness, it's great to get to know you better. And for anyone that wants to reach back out to you, what's the best way to do that?
Sure. I'm on LinkedIn. Everybody's on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, certainly. Visit our website and reach out. There's a connect button, and that'll get it over to me, or just call our home office and ask for me, and our team will get you over to me.
Wonderful. Well, look for them. They're growing. Wickshire Senior Living, based in Brentwood, Tennessee, but really communities throughout the Southeast US, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Great.
Florida, Georgia, North Carolina.
Florida, Georgia, North Carolina. Great places to be. All. Well, thank you all for
Thank
listening
you.
to this episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. I'm Julie Podewitz. If you'd like to learn more about Grow Your Occupancy, you can find us on our website, growyouropcupancy.com, or reach out to us at success@growyouroccupancy. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you on the next show. This episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast is sponsored by Model 55. Model 55 provides turnkey model apartment and design solutions for senior living communities, combining quick nationwide service with deep expertise in creating model apartments. Model 55's designs are more than just aesthetically pleasing. They are strategically designed to drive occupancy and sales. From custom designs to ready-to-ship kits, Model 55 has solutions for any budget. For more information, www.model55.com. That's model55.com.